Engaged. And you're still the chief secretary. I looked at his handsome brows and eyes with reluctance, but shook my head and declined gently. No, just when emotions ran deep. I woke up to the storyline where a childhood sweetheart can't compete with a destined new lover. Phineas, who kept his distance from all women except me, would meet his fated true love. If I, who had accompanied him for 10 years, didn't step aside, I would end up dying in a disgraceful accidental murder. Chapter 1. Early in the morning, the quilt was scattered messily across the bed, and the air still lingered with the scent of passion. My head throbbed dully, but I saw Phineas already neatly dressed. The distinguished black suit highlighted his usual sternness and authority. It was as if the wild, burning man from the night before had been nothing but an illusion, until he spoke the exact same words I had heard in my dream. Regina, I'm getting engaged. Even the next twist was identical. Don't worry. It's just to appease the old man. I won't actually marry Gloria. Phineas handed me a document, his voice low and commanding. This is the secretary renewal contract. Take a look. I clutched the quilt, wrapping it tightly around my bare body, and slowly reached out my hand. The densely packed clauses on the contract blurred before my eyes. Last night, after being physically drained by Phineas, I had fallen into a strange dream. It told me that this was a novel's world, and the male lead was the decisive and ruthless Phineas. I had thought I was his female lead. After all, for the past 10 years, there had been no other women by Phineas's side, only me. We went on business trips together, wandered the streets and alleys of various cities, and spent every holiday side by side. A year ago, Phineas asked me to move in. I began leaving traces of daily life in his vast penthouse, organizing his messy bookshelves, replacing fresh lilies. On lazy afternoons, he would curl up with me on the recliner, sipping hot tea while flipping through finance books. Whenever he didn't have to socialize, I would make his favorite shepherd's purse dumplings. When tasting them, he would domineeringly snatch half a dumpling straight from my mouth. But sadly, this was a story where the childhood sweetheart loses to the destined newcomer. After Gloria appeared, I would be repeatedly humiliated and heartbroken, eventually leaving in sorrow. Sensing my gloom, Phineas looked at me with deep eyes. What's wrong? I struggled to suppress the bitterness in my throat, maintaining a calm tone, to avoid any misunderstanding from Miss Bai. I won't sign. He merely frowned slightly, his tone still overbearing. Regina, you're 26. Stop being childish. I've told you, the most important position by my side will always be yours. Chapter 2. Getting into the Maybach. Phineas, as usual, drove with a cold, expressionless face. His side profile was stern and handsome. My mind drifted. The dream lingered vividly in my mind. The car slowly pulled into the company's underground parking lot. Phineas got out first, his posture upright and his steps brisk as he headed toward the elevator. Like countless times before, I silently followed behind him. As soon as we stepped into the company, a lively young girl ran over with bright enthusiasm. Good morning, Mr. Lee. I'm Gloria. Grandpa Lee asked me to be your secretary and get familiar with the work in advance. She playfully stuck out her tongue. The dimples that bloomed on her cheeks seemed to be filled with honey. Phineas's originally cold gaze froze the moment he saw the girl. Standing to the side, I saw his instinctive reaction clearly. A sharp pain stabbed through my heart. I'll have Secretary Sue arrange it. An unprecedented softness quietly surfaced on Phineas's face. Something even he didn't notice. Gloria curiously sized me up, her face full of innocent smiles. Are you Regina, the chief secretary of Lee Group? I heard you speak 4 languages and have accompanied Mr. Lee to many major negotiations. You're amazing. Phineas and I had attended the same university and worked on projects together. After he returned to the Lee family, I followed him into the company, clearing obstacles by his side. I forced a smile. Miss Bai, you flatter me. Seeing us get along well, Phineas started a video conference with the manager of the overseas branch. Gloria stayed next to me, chirping away with all sorts of questions. She seemed naive and clueless, but in reality, every word was probing the relationship between me and Phineas. Isn't it tough being around such an outstanding man, without your boyfriend getting jealous? As a female secretary, I think it's better to maintain a proper distance from a male boss. What do you think? A cunning gleam flashed in her eyes. She was lively, bold in expressing herself. Within half a day, the entire company knew that Gloria was the heiress arranged by Grandpa Lee for his grandson's marriage. Chapter 3. I felt suffocated and rushed to the bathroom to throw up. When I came out, Gloria had finished fixing her makeup and shot me a sharp glance. My mom says that some cheap women have no self-respect. They have no abilities but still try to climb higher by sleeping around with men. A chill gripped my heart. This seemingly innocent girl was far from simple. Before leaving, she bumped into me forcefully. A flood of plot details surged into my mind. I got pregnant. I thought that, with our decade-long bond and the child in my belly, I could keep Phineas by my side. However, Grandpa Lee valued the Bai family's status. To avoid humiliating them, he forced Phineas to pressure me into an abortion. Regina, we'll have more children in the future, he said. He knew perfectly well that I grew up with my grandmother after losing my parents at a young age, and I had always longed for a family of my own. I decided to become a single mother, but suffered a car accident and premature birth, losing my uterus. Phineas rationally told me, Regina, I can't marry a woman who can't have children, but I'll let you stay by my side and take care of you for the rest of your life. He and Gloria held the grandest wedding in the city. On the same day, I was kidnapped by Lee family's rivals. I called Phineas multiple times, but he never answered. I died in a warehouse by the sea, my body sealed into a concrete pillar, completely erased from this world. Chapter 4. Dragging my heavy steps. I arrived at the CEO's office and spoke in a weak voice. Mr. Lee, I'm not feeling well. I'd like to go to the hospital for a checkup. He rubbed his brow, his tone cold. Forget about taking leave. Gloria wants to learn more about the secretary department. You'll accompany her today. And she wants a trendy milk tea from that popular shop in the north of the city. Go get it for her. Phineas, brother, you're the best. Gloria affectionately wrapped her arm around Phineas's. In just half a day, their body language had become so intimate. She looked at me, a faint arrogance hidden in her gaze. As the personal secretary to the president, I hadn't run errands myself for a long time. Making an exception, that's how favoritism begins. I clenched the corner of my clothes tightly and said in a low voice, Mr. Lee, if I remember correctly, the renewal contract ends in 7 days. I've been with Lee Group for 5 years, and my overtime hours alone could cover at least a month's leave. These past 3 months, with the acquisition project, I've been stretched to the limit. I'd like to resign early. I finished in one breath. Phineas's cold eyes locked onto me. Being stared at by those eyes made you feel you were buried deep in the dust. It was at our first meeting that I fell for him. But how could someone who fell in love at first sight ever be content with just being a friend? Phineas's voice turned even colder. Secretary Sue, the company invested a lot in your development. Now that we're short-staffed, I won't allow you to resign. I forced a smile. Once, I had accompanied Phineas to the northeast to seek investment, only to be turned away everywhere in the freezing snow. In the biting cold, we huddled together behind a snowdrift, shielding each other from the wind. His face was pressed against mine, his voice hoarse from the chill yet full of determination. Regina, once I have full control, I will give you the best of everything in the world. But now, his words were filled only with the habitual authority and concern for the company's interests. Hearts change easily. Glass shatters easily. I once believed that as long as Phineas chose me firmly, I could brave anything. Now, I no longer wanted any entanglement with him. Chapter 5. I eventually went to the hospital. The doctor told me I was 5 weeks pregnant. It must have been that night when Phineas secured the amusement park land and celebrated with overwhelming joy. I gently touched my flat belly and whispered, Baby, I'm sorry, Mommy can't bring you into this world. But then the doctor said, Miss Sue, your uterus isn't in good condition. If you terminate this pregnancy, it will be very difficult to conceive again in the future. I pulled the corners of my mouth into a painful smile. So, no matter if I follow the storyline or not, I still can't have blood-related family in this life? As I was leaving, the doctor asked me to think carefully. My phone rang. It was Phineas. He asked how I was feeling. I was about to answer when I heard Gloria's playful, whiny voice. Phineas, brother, didn't you say you'd take me to Yacha Courtyard for dinner? all the strength drained from my body in an instant. Yacho Courtyard, hidden within the city's glitz, was a private club. One of its dishes, braised spring bamboo shoots, had been Phineas's late mother's favorite. He once said he would only take me there, the girl murmured playfully, and Phineas, awkwardly gentle, tried to comfort her. The call was hurriedly ended. They had only known each other for less than a day as marriage partners, yet were already developing feelings. It seemed that for roses, principles are irrelevant. Infatuation is everything. I raised my hand, only to feel my face soaked with tears. Just as I was about to leave the hospital, I noticed a commotion. A thug wielding a knife lunged toward a tall man in a white coat who was advising a patient on precautions. I recognized that exquisitely handsome face at a glance. Recalling a scene from my dream, I rushed forward without hesitation. Chapter 6. I rammed into the thug with all my strength, getting slashed on the arm. The crowd gasped and quickly subdued the assailant. Sam narrowly escaped harm. He was a world-renowned top surgeon who had refused to inherit the family business and had just returned from abroad. He was also Phineas's best friend. In the dream, Sam had been attacked and wounded in the wrist. Never able to hold a scalpel again, my grandmother would be diagnosed with a rare disease within a month. Without timely treatment, she would pass away soon after. I had insisted on giving birth because I couldn't bear to lose my only living relative. When Phineas took me abroad, I had met Sam a few times. We were merely acquaintances. Sam personally bandaged my wound. Secretary Sue, I don't know how to thank you. I'll tell Phineas to prepare a generous gift for you. No need to tell Mr. Lee. I saved you. It has nothing to do with him. Sam looked at me in surprise, seemingly not quite believing it. Over the years, I had done a lot for Phineas, negotiating at drinking tables, enduring difficult clients, navigating high society. I used to send carefully selected gifts regularly to his friends, including Sam. Thinking of my grandmother's illness, I pleaded earnestly, Dr. Fu, may I ask you for a favor? Chapter 7. I wanted to return to Phineas's penthouse to pack my things. Fingerprint verification failed. While I was stunned, the door opened. Gloria poked out her cute little head. Secretary Sue, what brings you here? Just as I was about to speak, Phineas walked out. Is there an urgent document you need me to sign so late? Gloria chuckled softly. Secretary Sue is really dedicated. In the afternoon, she said she felt unwell and wanted to resign. But here she is, showing up at the boss's house at night. Her words subtly accused me of being inappropriate. Phineas seemed not to notice and affectionately ruffled her hair, suppressing the bitterness in my heart. I forced myself to speak in the calmest voice. I accidentally left my documents here when delivering paperwork yesterday. Gloria revealed a look of as expected and playfully pinched Phineas's waist. I've told you before, I can't tolerate even a grain of sand in my eyes. When we get engaged, you have to promise me, all assistants around you must be men. Feeling awkward, I stepped into the house. Looking around, I noticed that the cups, pillows, and all the little things I had bought were gone. I grabbed my passport and ID card. Before leaving, Phineas stood by the door in a neatly pressed suit, casually unbuttoning his cufflinks. Gloria is still young. I'm afraid if she complains to Grandpa, it would hurt your position. I understood the hidden meaning behind his words. I understand. Chapter 8. I booked a flight back to my hometown. The countryside was tranquil in the evening. Grandma was sitting in a worn wicker chair in the courtyard, a bamboo basket beside her filled with freshly picked wild greens. The moment she saw me, she jumped to her feet. Reggie, you're finally back. Ignoring the greens scattered on the ground, she pulled me into a tight embrace. My eyes welled up with tears, and guilt filled my heart. I hadn't been back in 2 years. Grandma had grown thinner, her back even more hunched. She clutched my hand tightly, as if afraid I would vanish the moment she let go. I had lost my parents young. It was Grandma who raised me. She went into the kitchen, slowly lighting the stove while saying, Reggie, you must be exhausted out there. Grandma will make your favorite shepherd's purse dumplings right away. Memories flooded over me. Chapter 9. Phineas entered my life when I was 16. His father was a wealthy heir who had fallen in love with a poor girl, only to be fiercely opposed by Grandpa Lee. After getting pregnant, Phineas's mother ran away in secret. Lee's father, obeying family pressure, married another woman, a union that produced no children. At some point, that woman found out about Phineas and his mother and wanted to eliminate them completely. When Phineas's mother brought him back to her hometown, her mind was already unstable. Phineas moved into the house next door, wearing old sneakers that couldn't hide his tall, upright figure. Grandma, always warm-hearted, noticed Phineas's dazed mother and cooked a pot of mushy pig slop to coax them into eating dumplings together. The dumpling skins, elastic and chewy, wrapped the freshest spring shepherd's purse and scrambled egg filling. The dumplings burst with juicy, sweet flavor. Phineas devoured half a pot at once, worried he might overeat. Grandma asked me to take him for a walk around the town. After that, Phineas and his mother became frequent visitors to our home. When his mother was lucid, she would stuff money and food into Grandma's hands and hold mine tightly, urging me to spend more time with Phineas. He was so silent, wearing a dark coat, his messy hair fluttering in the wind. It was always me doing the talking along the way. We got into the same university. His mother passed away during our college years, leaving only me by his side. In our senior year, a Rolls-Royce appeared on campus. Lee's father had finally realized that his legal wife had been hurting Phineas and his mother all along. They argued on the road and died together in a car crash. As the sole heir left, Grandpa Lee asked Phineas to take over the company. The once drifting boy did not let the opportunity slip, but stepping into the Lee group, he discovered it was a complete mess. I figured, if it weren't for the dire circumstances, Grandpa Lee, who valued lineage above all, would have rather found a distant relative than hand over the family business to the son of an unrecognized woman. Phineas worked relentlessly, with a sharp mind for business, securing his position within just 2 years. The hardships we endured together didn't need words. After achieving success, many women, both willing and pushed by others, were sent to Phineas. Yet he maintained a distant, aloof attitude toward everyone. I had thought I was an exception. I laughed bitterly at myself. Chapter 10. No more late-night transcontinental emails. No more rushing to book Phineas's flights. No more alarms set at fixed intervals. For the first time in a long while, I had a full, peaceful night's sleep. Grandma pan-fried the leftover dumplings from last night until their skins were crispy and golden. The tender shepherd's purse filling was so delicious it felt like my eyebrows could fall off. She looked at my sharp chin and sighed. Who says bitter greens are bitter? Their sweetness rivals shepherd's purse. I know you like that Lee boy, Reggie, but you've seen how his mother lived her whole life. Grandma had been a Chinese literature teacher all her life. She wanted to remind me that some people are simply not meant to walk the same path. I used to think Phineas treated me very well. He gave me a secondary credit card at my disposal, had a private jet ready for me anytime, gifted me jewelry on holidays and special occasions, and made sure I had new clothes every season, as long as I was by his side. I thought the title didn't matter. For this, I had rejected all other suitors, willingly. Without a name or title, I climbed into Phineas's bed. Looking back carefully, I realized he had never even formally confessed to me. The phone rang. It was Phineas. Why didn't you come to the company? I already told you I wanted to resign. Regina, I didn't approve it. When I didn't answer right away, his tone softened. You're tired. I'll give you a week off. Come back and renew the contract in 7 days. It was Grandpa Lee's rule. Phineas still wouldn't make an exception for me. I understood his relentless nature well, so I simply replied, I'll see when the time comes. Then I hung up and turned off my phone. Chapter 11. I had never once ignored Phineas's summons. He was like a god, detached from the world, making people instinctively want to draw closer. It was the fate between us. Now, I had to personally cut off the bond that tied us together. I wanted to take Grandma to Highshire for a full medical checkup, but she got carsick and seasick, and was reluctant to travel far. I had no choice but to call Sam. The dream had mentioned that Grandma's rare disease would progress quickly. Sam was very patient. After a video consultation, he advised me to bring her to the hospital as soon as possible. Grandma gently patted my hand. This old illness of mine always gets worse when I leave home. A big city is unfamiliar. Don't waste that money. I was frantic with worry. I have money. No matter what illness it is, I'll get you treated. What I didn't expect was that Sam arranged for a helicopter. 1,000 kilometers distance, it took only half a day to reach Highshire. He had already arranged all the checkups. I thanked him over and over again, but Sam silently looked at my belly, his gaze filled with something hard to understand. I couldn't worry about that now and urgently asked, "How's Grandma's condition?" "It's not very optimistic. This rare disease is extremely difficult to treat." My legs went weak. The world spun around me. Sam patted my shoulder and comforted me. "I'll do my best. Stay by your grandmother's side these next few days." I took a deep breath and forced out a smile. Chapter 12. After hiring a caretaker, I returned to the small 3-bedroom apartment I had bought. A familiar figure was standing at the door. Phineas looked at me, his gaze heavy. "What are you doing? You're not answering calls or texts." I found it odd. Sam, who was so close to him, hadn't said anything about Grandma's situation. "I'm not going back." "Didn't you clear out all my things already?" "Regina, I told you, Gloria's still a young girl, and she's my family's only daughter. Our families are about to collaborate on an important project. I just didn't want her to misunderstand. Let me say it again, no matter your title. In my heart, you are always the only one." The man before me was like a fir tree in the snow, cold, aloof, and proud. I had always thought I understood Phineas. In his youth, the relentless persecution by his father's wife had taught him to weigh everything with careful calculation. I had accepted his darkness and schemes. I had given him my sincere heart. But now, after our emotional bond was broken, he still wanted to cage me and refused to let me go. "Phineas, you should know how much I like you. A full 10 years, not 10 months, not 10 days. I know, that's why I've already given you everything I could." He irritably tugged at his collar. I spoke calmly. "Then do you think that someone who loves you this much could stand by and watch you marry another woman?" Phineas left. His pride would never allow him to bow his head. Chapter 13. I stayed at the hospital. Sam quickly arranged surgery for Grandma. Thanks to the timely treatment, everything went smoothly. I was filled with gratitude and brought gifts to Dr. Fu's private office. At that moment, the minimalist space was dimly lit. Sam's long fingers were gently caressing a surgical scalpel, the blade gleaming coldly under the faint light. His movements were soft, almost tender, as if it were his closest companion. I was startled. "Dr. Fu, why aren't you turning on the lights?" He looked at me directly, his gaze deep as an abyss, and suddenly asked, "Miss Sue, do you believe in rebirth?" My heart trembled. I subconsciously opened my mouth but couldn't say a word. Sam seemed trapped in a whirlpool of memories, his voice filled with sorrow. "In my previous life, those medical rioters, they severed my wrist. My life and career were completely destroyed. But in this life," his tone shifted, his gaze softened, full of gratitude as he looked at me, "your appearance completely changed my fate." Chapter 14. Through Sam's mournful yet steady voice, I heard the parts of the story the dream had never revealed. Sam was born into a wealthy family but lived a miserable life. His father, Fu Sr., had locked his ailing mother in the basement while taking him out for public appearances. One day, a terrible fire broke out, killing his mother. Less than half a month later, Fu Sr. brought his mistress and her child into the home. With a stepmother came a stepfather's cruelty. Sam carried a deep guilt. If his mother hadn't fallen ill, could he have had a happier childhood? That guilt drove him to dream of becoming a doctor. He wanted to spend his life healing the wounds of his childhood. However, after his wrist was crippled, he spiraled back into despair. He became a discarded pawn of his powerful family. Even his best friend, Phineas, drifted away after seeing that he could no longer perform surgery, unable to save Gloria's mother. Sam sank into severe depression. Phineas witnessed Fu Sr. forcing his own son to jump from a skyscraper. "Miss Sue, when I was reborn, I found my wrist intact again. It was you who changed my life. Now, do you want to change your fate too?" He had been reborn. He must have seen the tragic end of my previous life. Chapter 15. With the experiences of 2 lifetimes and the plot details I had revealed, Sam realized that his mother's death was suspicious. Fu Father's startup capital had come from Sam's mother. In the end, she died under unclear circumstances. Fu father claimed she had long since gone mad and must have accidentally triggered the basement's wiring, causing the fire. After Sam's mother and he himself were out of the way, Fu father's illegitimate child inherited everything. The mistress was gloriously elevated, becoming a respected lady among the elite. Businessmen valued profit above all else. At Phineas and Gloria's grand wedding, Fu father's family even managed to mingle among the guests at the neighboring table bearing lavish gifts. A thin line of blood welled from my palm as my nails dug into it. I had already expected Phineas's coldness and ruthlessness, but I didn't expect him to abandon even his longtime brother so easily. Hiding the sorrow in my heart, I looked at Sam. What do you want us to do? You've been with Phineas for years. You must be familiar with business operations. I hope you can help me take over my father's company. We'll split it 50-50 afterward. I agreed. Everyone had their expertise. Sam had devoted himself to medicine, lacking the time and energy to manage a company. Meanwhile, following Phineas all these years, I had personally handled many of his major negotiations. Sam requested a small company from his father. At first, Fu father refused, but I was skilled at negotiation. Mr. Fu, who can guarantee they'll never face illness or disaster? He understood. With an internationally renowned doctor as a son, customers would naturally flood in. Chapter 16. Before taking over Fu's company, I decided to terminate the pregnancy. If I wanted to sever ties with the male and female leads, I had to be ruthless. Sam assured me not to worry. He would personally oversee everything to minimize the harm. The dead fetus was delivered. I took a photo of it. The pain couldn't be something only I had to bear. Seeing my pale face, Sam asked with concern, "Miss Sue, are you okay?" I thought of my dead grandmother, my dead child, my dead self, and the Sam who had died too. Ignoring his question, I raised my head and asked, "Do people who betray true hearts go to hell?" "Yes," he said. "Don't call me Miss Sue anymore. Call me Reggie. And don't call me Dr. Fu either. Just call me Sam." Chapter 17. The quickest way to deepen a friendship is to share your secrets. At a business party, Sam and I arrived hand in hand. Many who had heard of Sam's name came over to network. Birth, aging, sickness, and death. No one can escape these things. Everyone wanted to befriend a top-tier surgeon. Phineas and Gloria also arrived. Compared to my calm and restrained demeanor, Gloria was like a dazzling little sun. But the sisters at the secretary's office complained, "Why can't Miss Bai just enjoy being a socialite? Why does she insist on hanging around our office every day?" Gloria had never worked a single day in her life. Spoiled rotten by her parents, she had become a little princess who constantly made mistakes but never changed. She added loads of sugar into coffee, and when Phineas, who disliked sweets, drank it, he only smiled indulgently. She messed up important data in client documents, causing dissatisfaction, but pushed the blame onto the secretaries. She could have done nothing and still taken credit for others' work, but instead, she insisted on doing everything herself, just to win Phineas's approval. Aside from being naively charming, she was utterly useless, but the heroine's aura was too powerful. Phineas simply thought she was childlike and didn't take her mistakes seriously. I found it ridiculous. Once, I had mistaken a client's mistress for his wife during an event and misspoke. Phineas, citing company rules about professionalism, docked half a month's salary from me. Love and indifference, the difference was all too obvious. Chapter 18. Coming out of the restroom, I was blocked by Gloria. She raised her hand, flashing a diamond ring the size of a dove egg. Smiling arrogantly, "Secretary Sue, I'm getting engaged to Phineas' brother. I heard you're very capable. You'll help plan our wedding." Her tone was full of command. I coldly refused. Gloria lowered her voice. "We're both women. Don't think I don't know what you're after. The first time I visited Phineas's apartment, I saw your lacy underwear. It was disgusting." "Disgusting? Then tell me, did you walk around naked at home?" She was momentarily stunned, then flushed with anger. "But the first time I went to his home, he agreed to change the password to my birthday. He even calls me Glory. That's a nickname only family uses." "So what? Regina, do you understand plain language? I forbid you from getting near Phineas' brother again." I smiled lightly. "Don't worry, I won't return to the company. and I won't step into his house ever again. Chapter 19. My voice wasn't loud, but it happened to fall into Phineas's ears not far away. He blocked my way, reaching out to touch my pale face. Reggie, you've lost weight. Haven't you been taking care of yourself lately? I instinctively avoided his touch. Phineas lowered his eyes and chuckled lightly. We've known each other for so long, and this is the first time I've seen you stay mad for so long. I tugged the corner of my mouth and said, Mr. Lee, you're no different. You've always disliked rash and noisy people, yet now you cherish one dearly. I've said it before. The engagement with the Bai family is only to secure the South City project. To you, is marriage just a bargaining chip? Why not? The empire we conquer will be for you and me. Mr. Lee, are you suggesting I become your second wife? Or your mistress? Regina, you've changed. You never used to care about titles. What girl doesn't care? It was just that I loved him, and I was willing to wait. But compared to my own life, love was no longer worth such a heavy price. Chapter 20. Phineas could be quite despicable. He knew I was close with the girls from the secretary office. Yet he let Gloria make things hard for them. Reggie, if you don't come back, I'll have to find someone else to take the blame. Must you push things to the brink? I just miss you. At that moment, I realized my love for him had added too many filters to his image. I once thought it was his broken childhood that made him ruthless and cold, but now I finally saw coldness was in his very bones. The girls in the secretary office were all personally chosen by me. Loyal, hardworking, capable. Since Phineas and Gloria didn't appreciate them, they couldn't blame me for poaching them. The company I had taken over from Fu's father was a wasteland, in urgent need of rebuilding. I needed my own people. The girls were ecstatic. Following Sister Shu means we'll have good food and no need to swallow grievances. They complained about Gloria's spoiled princess attitude, and about President Lee's indulgent favoritism. The company's a mess, but Mr. Lee still thinks it's our fault. In the past, I never let Phineas worry about anything, from billion-dollar contracts down to a single loose screw in the office. I personally oversaw it all. My heart had long been exhausted. Indeed, pitying a man is the beginning of misfortune. When I left, taking Phineas's most capable assistants with me, could he and his heroine still reach their perfect happy ending? Chapter 21. I ran into Phineas again at the South City Project bidding conference. Seeing Sam attend with me, Phineas didn't even greet him. A rift had formed between the former close brothers. Sam had seen through Phineas's cold-heartedness. And Phineas? I couldn't be bothered to guess. Around Gloria's neck hung the starry sky necklace Phineas once promised to give me, and she wore it proudly. I didn't care. I naturally accepted the thermos Sam handed me. Inside was red date and astragalus tea. He was a truly competent doctor. He had once promised not to let my body suffer lingering damage. And he meant it. He also took meticulous care of my hospitalized grandmother, earning her praise 800 times a day. If Phineas had truly cared about me, he would have known when Grandma fell ill, when she had surgery, and when she recovered. He cornered me at the end of a corridor. Regina, the project plan was yours. How could you hand it over to Fu's family as your pledge of allegiance? The suffocating space made even the air feel heavy. I looked at him calmly and said, Mr. Lee, I own 50% of this company. Of course I'll fight for it. Reggie, stop this. Sam is only using you as a pawn to go against his father. He can't possibly be sincere toward you. I don't care, as long as he gives me what I want. Following Phineas, I had always been just a secretary. Titles like vice president or director were merely used to win over others, to show old Master Lee that I could never rise in status, whether as a wife, or even as the official right-hand person at his side. It was impossible. I thought of my aching back from nights crushed under endless work, the long pages of meeting notes in my memo app, and the relationship between Phineas and me, forever hidden in the shadows. I took a deep breath. Phineas, you built your walls so high, yet you expect someone to endure everything and climb over them to love you. In the end, what you love is just the me who was willing to give everything selflessly. He fell silent, his tone tinged with helplessness. Reggie, I used to think you didn't care, but if you had asked, I would have given you anything. That's not how it works. Anything that must be begged for is pity, charity, but never true love. Chapter 22. I successfully secured the South City project. Behind it, I owed a lot to Sam. He performed surgery for a very influential investor, gaining the man's favor and support. Fu father looked at him with new respect. He wanted to use his legitimate son to help him gather more resources. Sam agreed on the surface but, following my plan, made a lot of additional demands. With his rebirth and my knowledge of the plot, we expanded the company at an astonishing pace. We both knew, if this world revolved around the male and female leads, we had to strip them of their halo in order to give the NPCs a chance to breathe. Sam asked me, "You and Phineas have so many years of feelings between you. Can you really let go?" I tilted my head, looked into his probing eyes, and said slowly and firmly, "No one will wait forever in the same place." During this time, Gloria had not stopped scheming against me. She spread rumors in high society, claiming that I slept with different men to win the project. The stories were detailed and vivid, and even photos surfaced. One of them was from when Phineas's company faced a crisis. His biggest client had demanded I accompany him north for negotiations, and we ended up traveling together for 3 days and 2 nights. I let out a low, self-mocking laugh. Maybe, in his eyes, I was already tainted long ago. Otherwise, how could Gloria know about such private matters? Phineas was still Phineas. He would rather destroy my reputation than believe in me, just to sever our bond. His love was too shallow, too cheap. If you doubt someone, you don't use them. I was simply too late to wake up. No one else to blame. Sam took off his coat and draped it over my shoulders. "I believe you." The faint scent of cedar on him, like the man himself, calmed me. Chapter 23. Phineas accompanied Gloria to a hospital checkup. She caressed her flat belly and pouted. "It's all your fault for not taking precautions." My period got messed up, and I thought I was pregnant. Our eyes met. Phineas quickly turned his face away, looking slightly uncomfortable. Seeing Sam, Gloria immediately ran over. "Dr. Fu, my mom is sick. The hospital director said your skills are among the best in the world. Please make time and personally perform her surgery." She thought that with Phineas's relationship, Sam would definitely agree. "Sorry, my schedule is fully booked for the year." Sam replied calmly and turned to do his rounds. Gloria, furious, chased after him. I ignored them. He ran. She chased. I was just about to deliver the wontons I had packed for Grandma when someone yanked me back. "Regina, why didn't you tell me your grandma was sick? Grandma has been hospitalized for nearly half a year. If you cared even a little, you wouldn't be completely clueless." Phineas, dressed in a custom black suit, now had creases at the collar, no longer the flawless image he once projected. To be fair, his face had once deeply attracted me. Even Grandma, who had seen through human nature all her life, had said, "Phineas's nature will surely betray you someday." And yet, I had still rushed toward him like a moth to a flame. Phineas sneered coldly. "Just because Sam saved your grandma, you gave yourself to him and turned against me?" His gaze sharpened, tinged with a murderous chill. I looked at Phineas, disappointment welling in my eyes. "In your darkest times, it was Grandma who paid your tuition and stayed by your mother's hospital bed. There had been so many who had shown him kindness. Unfortunately, some people could only remember the bad." I said nothing more. Silence didn't mean I had no emotions left. It simply meant there was no point in speaking anymore. Chapter 24. Following Phineas. I hadn't been stagnant. The liquor I drank, the negotiating tables I sat at, the projects I planned late into the night, and the clients I dealt with, they all became my assets. Of course, the enemy's own missteps helped too. Phineas's secretary department had lost many capable people. Gloria, being a jealous little princess, saw every young, beautiful female subordinate as a love rival. In the company, Phineas always handled the big picture, while I managed the personnel side. But now, a spoiled heiress who had never worked a day in her life, was pointing fingers at the company's rules and structure. It was the beginning of the collapse. Gloria accidentally leaked confidential bidding information, causing the loss of $1 billion project. She drafted a contract for Phineas with a decimal error, leading to a massive financial loss. Not to mention, Phineas had to spend all his time cleaning up the mess, entertaining countless strong businesswomen at banquets. In Gloria's jealous eyes, this became proof that her treasure was being coveted by others. Seizing the opportunity, I took over Lee Corporation's territories and reported the good news directly to Old Master Lee. He was so furious he spat blood. I guess I finally repaid the favor from the dream, where he had allowed the kidnappers to kill me. After all, if Lee Corporation hadn't made so many enemies, I wouldn't have become the scapegoat. Chapter 25. The halo around the male and female leads seemed to be fading. When Phineas found me, he had grown stubble, and his suit hadn't been changed for 2 days. A stark contrast to the image of the neat freak male lead. Reggie, come back to me, will you? Gloria isn't fit to be a wife. I've had Grandpa cancel the engagement with the Bai family. But what am I, a recycling bin for trash? Phineas, when our child was lost, it was already destined that we could never go back. I sent him a photo of the fetus after the miscarriage. He was shocked. Regina, that was my child. How could you dare? Stop joking. Back then, you were about to marry into the Bai family. There's no way Old Master Lee would have allowed that child to exist. Phineas fell silent. What I said was the truth. As someone who weighed everything for power, he would never allow an unstable factor, even his own flesh and blood. Phineas, the moment you abandoned me, I realized, without you, I will live even better. But Reggie, without you, I'm not living well at all. His stomach problems worsened, and Gloria loved spicy food. Enduring it, he developed stomach cancer. I miss the days when you took care of everything for me. For once, Phineas's handsome face was filled with regret, remorse, and frustration. But to me, it no longer mattered. Chapter 26. Phineas's career suffered a massive blow. His health also went into crisis. Gloria must have truly fallen for him. Despite her parents' opposition, she tried to salvage their relationship. However, Bai's mother fell ill and could barely take care of herself. Sam still refused to perform surgery on her. Before long, Bai's mother passed away. Bai's father, seeking profit, quickly brought his illegitimate child into the house. I sighed lightly. No wonder the Bai family raised their daughter to be so lazy and foolish. If Gloria weren't the female lead, she would have become cannon fodder long ago. Unwilling to accept it, Gloria stormed into the Lee family home. Old Master Lee, already bedridden, had been furious to learn she had ruined several major projects. Seeing the culprit come to his door, he wheeled himself out and scolded her harshly. No one knew what triggered it, but in a fit of rage, Gloria lost control and pushed the old man down from the second floor. He died on the spot. She was immediately taken into custody by the police for trial. Chapter 27. After the funeral, Phineas came to find me. Reggie, I had a long dream. In that dream, for the sake of an alliance, I abandoned you and our child. And it ended with you dying miserably. The sudden dream had brought clarity to his mind. If I had never met Gloria, could we have been together in the end? No, I answered. Over the past 10 years, he had countless opportunities to speak up, but he always knew. The title of Mrs. Lee was something to be maximized for value. Reggie, you have every right to hate me, but I still love you. Can you give me a chance to make it up to you? Phineas, after 10 years of devotion without even gaining a title, your so-called love only makes me feel how cheap it is. When you're in the midst of it, it's often hard to see clearly. But now, it was like a bucket of cold water had doused him awake. I'm sorry, I was too focused on climbing higher and overlooked you. It doesn't matter anymore. The reason you can't let go is because I appeared when you were at your lowest, and won full marks in your heart with sincerity. But even the deepest love, after repeated hurt, would eventually wither away. Chapter 28. Don't worry, it's just to appease Grandpa. I won't marry Gloria. By fate, he lay in the bathtub, a deep cut across his wrist. Before leaving, he sent me an apology message and left his remaining assets to me. I donated them all. After devouring Lee Corporation, I finally had enough power to compete with Fu's father, and pressed my advantage. Sam was more than happy to see it happen. With a wave of his hand, he handed over management rights to me. Naturally, we got married and welcomed a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. He remained a career man, traveling the world with his scalpel to save lives. I was equally busy, but every day I made sure to spend time playing with our lovely children. Grandma, holding two little toys in her hands, lovingly helped me care for them. Reggie, you didn't tie yourself to a single tree, and that's why you're now blessed with so much happiness. When I learned to love myself above all else, the gears of fate began to turn. Thus, I reversed my destiny.